Hey, beautiful ones. Welcome back to the show. Okay, so this is going to be part 3 of our Japan trip experience. The last episode talked about the first 10 questions of what you have that I can help you get some insights on when you go to Japan. So let's get going. All right. So, this question, how do Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka differ in terms of the atmosphere and vibe? Okay. Tokyo, let's talk about the vibe first for these three cities. The vibe of Tokyo is very modern. It's a megalopolis. It's huge, 37 million people. Definitely people there are fast paced, right? So lots of business, a lot of financial things happening, lots of tourists, lots of restaurants. It's a bustling megalopolis. Okay. Now, Kyoto, it's about 2.5 hours away, taking the bullet train. It's definitely not as bustling. It's still a big city, but definitely more relaxed. I could even dare to say more traditional. And it's still an amazing city, but definitely has a vibe that's more relaxed. Osaka, definitely when we went there, definitely it's a lively city. It's energetic. It's very, it has a lot of things going for it. You know, there's a lot that happens with it's a street food, a lot of street food vendors. The castle's there, Osaka Castle. A lot of things happening. Now, with Tokyo, a lot of skyscrapers, lots of fashion, lots of tech. You'll see that. In Kyoto, we didn't go to a lot of these, but there are a lot of temples, lots of shrines. There's even a geisha district. So if you want to check that out, definitely Kyoto is the place. Osaka, again, a lot of street food, a lot of vendors, lots of things going on, lots of movement. Now, Tokyo, it's really crowded, right? And I mentioned earlier in the last episode that it's crowded, almost chaotic, but it isn't. It's more organized than you think. It's the tourists like us, we feel that it's chaotic because we're not used to it. But for the Japanese, that's how they operate. It's their culture. They know what to do. Kyoto definitely slower paced, right? But it's also a very tourist heavy place. But definitely things a little bit slower, which is good. We actually enjoyed that. And definitely Osaka, the lifestyle. Man, I think what we experienced there, it's really the food, right? It's called the kitchen of Japan for a reason. It's a crazy place. You know, it's a little grittier there in Osaka just because there's so much food, and you can imagine when they have all this food, you know, it can be more, you know, not as clean. It's definitely cleaner than any city that I've been to in the United States and even Canada. But definitely it is grittier compared to Tokyo and Kyoto. Tokyo is very meticulous. It's a very high. They have a high standard of cleanliness there. It's amazing. In Kyoto, definitely it's very clean also, but maybe it's also a little more traditional. Now these three cities, they're amazing. You should go and experience each of these cities. Okay. Number 10, what festivals and events should you experience in Japan? Now, we didn't go in March, April. That is when the famous cherry blossom festivals happen. We want to try that next time when we go back. Don't know, in a couple years or so. But we want to go experience that. You know, the beautiful cherry blossom trees. I've seen pictures, I've seen video. on it, and it's very beautiful. Also, I've also seen Japan in the winter time, especially up in the Hokkaido area, Sapporo, up north of in Japan. Definitely want to check out that and maybe experience some skiing. I mean, I haven't skied in a while. It's been a few years now. Maybe it's a decade now, but I want to check that out. All right, number 11. What's the best time of year to visit Tokyo? Well, I can tell you not to go or try to avoid going when we went late June, early July, just because it's really hot and humid. If you're used to that, if you're used to the South, the American South, the East Coast, Chicago, Hawaii, the Philippines, Asia, Southeast Asia, if you're used to the mugginess, the humidity, then it's okay. Go for it. But if you can, try to avoid that if you can. If you're not into that, I want to experience Japan in the winter, the fall, and also the winter. That'd be amazing. All right, so how much did it cost? I think I talked about it a little bit in the last episode. But a bus, say taking the bus or taking the train for local stops, meaning within the city limits, it's about $1 US dollar to $2 US dollars, or about 160 yen to about 300 plus yen. And again, I mentioned this. One, it's a great value, especially that these trains and buses are always on time. I tried timing this bus, or this train, see if it was true. I pulled out my Apple Watch, timed it. There were about this one incident. It was 20 seconds late. Okay, and we took off about 10 seconds later than we supposed to. It's amazing. And I tried it again another time, and we were always on time. It's amazing. I know I keep saying that word, but I don't know what else to say. It's beautiful. It's incomprehensible. It's mind-boggling. Okay? Try it when you get there. It's something to experience. Okay? All right, so now, number 13, how can you find affordable accommodations in Tokyo and Osaka and Kyoto? Well, my wife, she was able to coordinate all this. There's 3 major cities. All these cities have multiple neighborhoods. And we don't speak Japanese or read Japanese, but these words, even though they're in English, they sound similar. Like our first neighborhood we stayed in Tokyo was called Asakusa, but we have also seen it and being pronounced as Asakusa. So it gets confusing, but according to our tour guide, Nori, it's the same. So just that alone, prepare your mind when you do so. Look for accommodations. I suggest looking for places that are close to the train stations that will really help save your feet. Yes, it's going to be maybe a little more pricey, but you'll save your feet. Okay, so we stayed 2.5 days in 4 days in Tokyo when we landed, then 2.5 days in Kyoto, and then 3.5 days in Osaka, and then we went back to Tokyo for 2 days, and then we went home from there. Now make sure, well, when you book these places, especially if you're looking for something more affordable, these hotels or apartments that are being booked as hotels, they may not have a concierge, a front desk, or the front desk is empty. The front desk that we stayed, those 2 hotels, at least 2 places, they didn't have, it was more affordable, but they didn't have a person at the front desk. You have to call. Okay, there's a little phone there, or you have a text number. You can contact them that way. But they do have toiletries and little amenities that you can pick up in the front desk. Now, we also looked for places that had some kind of kitchenette, a little kitchen, setting a microwave, maybe boil hot water. That is important to us. We also looked for a place that had a washing machine for our clothes, so we can do some laundry. If not, then you can try to find a place that has some kind of laundry service, either coin operated self-service or a service that you actually bring in, like the dry cleaners. We were able to experience both. One of the places we stayed, they had a washing machine but didn't have a dryer. Interestingly enough, their dryer is the bathroom, so the shower. So that room, it can be closed off. You hang your, I guess you wash your dirty clothes, and then you hang them in the bathtub. Right, you use the hangers in the closet. Then you hang them as best you can, and then you close the door, and then you can pump up the heat. You can go up so that it can dry out. You take a shower there also, right? So it's all wet. If you've been to Asia, you understand that. The bathroom, it's wet because the bathtub, yes, you have a bathtub. You may have a bathtub or not, but the whole place will get wet because when you take a shower, the whole place gets wet. It's separate from the toilet. Now, you bump up the heat. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a few hours. So you have to do some forethought in when to do your laundry. But once you do that, it works out really well. And just be mindful when it's humid, like the summertime, it's going to take a little bit longer as well. All right, so the best places that we stayed were obviously the high-end hotels. The Hyatt Palace in Kyoto and the amazing Hyatt Regency Tokyo. Those are world-class hotels. So you have the concierge, you have the front desk, you have a place to eat and so on. It's what you expect. Funny enough that both Hyatts, I had several friends who visited Japan before us within weeks, and they stayed in the same hotel. So when I posted pictures or videos up in Facebook and Instagram, they messaged me back and said, "Hey, we stayed there too." That's really cool. And I know also that I have friends that they were flying after us, visiting Japan after us, and they were also going to be staying at the Hyatt Regency. That's really cool. Okay. Now, you can also, if you want to save money, if you're single or you are up to it, maybe you have kids that are adults already, and you want to save money, you can rent these sleeping pods, and they are small. I get too claustrophobic to try it out, but you can save up to $25 a night, or you can pay $25 a night. Okay, Hyatt Regency, we saved enough points through our Chase preferred card, Sapphire card, so that helped us a lot. So what are the top things to do in Tokyo? Team Lab. You gotta check out Team Lab. We did Team Lab in Tokyo. I think there's another Team Lab somewhere else, and that's very popular as well. But when we went to Tokyo, there was the water museum. So Team Lab is like an interactive art museum-ish thing that it's designed to bring all your senses, use all your senses together and experience these amazing art, light shows, water water comes up knee deep. Yeah, so check that out. I'll put a link below in the comment, in the description. um, it is a really good place. It's really crowded also, so you have to make reservations. Another part in Osaka, a place in Osaka to check out, it's free, Team Lab you have to pay and make reservations. In Osaka, you can, for free, go to the Cup of Noodles Museum in the Akita district. My sons are a big fan of cup of noodles. We try not to eat that a lot, but every once in a while, the boys will have their cup of noodles. We'll buy that for them, prep them for college, right? And someday, we may visit Tokyo or Disney Seas. I know there's Kyoto Railway Museum. In Osaka, there's also Universal Studios. Now, those places we hear they're cheap. We didn't go because we want to avoid the crowd. But Tokyo Disneyland, Tokyo Disney Seas, Osaka's Universal Studios, supposedly about $50 each around there. So check that out. If you want to try that out, it's a nice place to hang out with kids, obviously. Go for it. How do we get through with the language barrier? Again, we use a lot of apps, Google Translate. It helped a lot. But also learning a little bit, at least the basic phrases of Japanese phrases like thank you, arigato, excuse me or sorry, sumimasen, and konnichiwa, hello. So using simple phrases like that and a few more like counting, that will definitely help. But again, they know gestures, their menus are in pictures. It helps a lot. Okay, so you don't have to struggle. Is Japan safe to travel? That's another question. Now, Japan is considered one of the safest countries in the world. So I was not in any anxious situation where I thought, gonna keep an eye out. I'm always keeping an eye out, but definitely it was less anxiety there. So I had no fear of that place whatsoever. Now, does it happen? Of course it does. Of course, there are robberies that happen, but I think it's more like scams that happens. Maybe they'll give you a menu that has a tourist fee or a tourist menu that jacked up the prices. So stuff like that, or they try to lure you into a bar, and then you're gonna spend more money. Everything's a little bit more expensive, so you gotta watch out for that. Now, traffic flows really well. Cars, bikes, buses, it flows really well. You, as a tourist, have to learn how to navigate through all that. Be careful. Stay on the left-hand side. The sidewalk has markings. Pedestrians will walk on the left-hand side. There's also bike lanes, so be careful when you do that. These bikers, they're pretty fast. Obviously, this is their home country, so they can navigate really well. It's just that tourists like us can't interfere with that, so be very careful with that. Keep your head on a swivel. What are the best ways to experience the nightlife? We didn't have the chance to go and enjoy the nightlife. We did go to Osaka and Kyoto and a little bit of Tokyo during the evening, so we can see the lights, the neon lights, and see the glorious neon lights happening and signs all around us. That's really cool. But we have kids, they're 14 and 11. It didn't make sense for us Sharon and I, to go ahead and go to a club or any kind of like stuff like doing that. But maybe one day when the boys are older, or when we travel there by ourselves, we're going to do that. Okay. So traveling, obviously, within the city, trains and buses. If you're gonna fly, if you're gonna visit different cities like Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka, Tokyo to Kyoto, you can fly in, or Tokyo to Osaka, you can fly in. Kyoto and Osaka, they're fairly close to each other, so you can take the bus or the high-speed bullet train system. It's a little more expensive, but I think the high-speed bullet train, it's worth it. It's about 2 hours from Tokyo to Kyoto. It's about 13,000 yen, 14,000 yen. It's about $90 per person. Obviously, with younger children, that's going to be a little cheaper. And you can actually eat in the train also. The bento boxes that you can purchase in the train station, there's a wide variety. And again, it's high quality food. You can go as simple as a little egg sandwich. Amazing. You gotta try that, especially 7-Eleven. Or you can go to these fancy self-heating bento boxes where you pull a cord and the heating element will activate, and you will have a warm lunch or dinner. The bullet trains are clean. Everything is clean. Bullet trains bathrooms are about 4 times as big as in airplanes. So definitely a good place to move around if you need to. More relaxed. But make sure you clean up after yourselves. That's a time you can use the garbage. They have garbages in the train. Garbage dispensers or cans. You can use that because in general, it's hard to find trash cans. So what would I recommend for itinerary? What are some recommended itineraries for a first-time visit to Japan? I say be fluid. Visit about 1 or 2 landmarks a day. Visit restaurants, small restaurants, but also big ones also. Check out the little food stalls that you have bite-sized, 1-piece or 2-piece nigiri or sushi or taco octopus balls. There are balls, made of tacos. Check out the local shopping. Take a chance. Explore to get outside of the beaten path and find something new. Happy accidents can happen. One time we were looking for a restaurant in Osaka because this restaurant served it's called okonom. I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but I'm going to try. Okonomiyaki, savory pancakes. Think about hash browns, but bigger, and they're mixed in with different foods, different kinds of ingredients, savory ingredients, and that is really good there. We were looking for the restaurant. We think we found it because we're not sure. The sign was, the restaurants are there, at least in the smaller places, didn't have enough signs, so we're just confused. We got there before it opened, but we noticed this lady sitting right next to it, and I guess her husband or family were there with her too, but they went to go look for another restaurant. And my wife asked this lady if she was in line before us for this restaurant, and she said no. But then she looked at me and said, "But I know who you are." I'm like, wait a minute, what? I said something to my wife a couple days before that I have a feeling I'm going to run into someone I know. I always have a feeling like that. Anyway, once I look at this lady, I realized I knew who she was. I mean, we're just acquaintances because she's friends with some of my friends. So we're just acquaintances, but we know each other. What's up, Leah? How you doing? Shout out to you and your family. So that was a really happy accident that happened because we were in the flow. We're just looking for someplace to eat, and we're walking down and ran into someone I knew. All right, so how do we connect to the internet? Well, there. Okay, so communication is big, right? We need access to the internet. One option, if you have an iPhone, AT&T, Verizon, and so on here in America. There is an international option you can use. We have iPhones and we use AT&T, and they have an international plan that for $280 we can use. For 2 phones for 2 weeks. For $280 we can use AT&T's international plan. Be very careful, because when you land, they're going to send a text to you. And if you click on that text, you may inadvertently press yes. So be very careful when you do that. Trying to save some money, we decided to take a different route. We used the Global Ninja pocket Wi-Fi's. For 5 gigs a day, 5 fast gigs a day, for about $190 for 2 weeks. Okay, $280 for AT&T's international plan. The Global Ninja pocket Wi-Fi's, it's $190 for 2 pocket Wi-Fi's. 2. So I can carry one, my wife can carry one, or one of my boys can carry one. So we have 5 gigabytes of fast speed, but once you pass that 5 gigabytes threshold, it will slow down to a crawl. So think about 4G or even like dial-up speed. But we didn't really have any issues with that, because once we hit the hotels, we used the Wi-Fi, the local Wi-Fi, the hotel Wi-Fi. So we were able to avoid crossing the 5 gigabyte threshold. So check out those pocket Wi-Fi's. They're in the airport. They're right around the corner when you get off the gate. When you get out of immigration and customs, they're right there, and there's the same place where you drop them off. But you had to order them ahead of time online, so make sure you do that. What's the best way to handle money and payments in Japan? Well, we definitely loaded up we downloaded the app, the Suica and Pasmo cards, or digital cards, into our Apple wallets. And then when we arrived before that, before we left America, we made sure we had crispy $100 bills in our pockets, just in case. I like being prepared, but I hear that if you are in an emergency anywhere in the world, if you have a legit $100 bill, US dollars, people will take that. All right, that's still a currency around the world. I don't care what BRICS has to say about that. So, $100, crispy, brand new. If you can, go to the bank, get yourself a $100 crispy bill, brand new bill. Then load up your digital cards, the Suica and Pasmo cards. Get yourself a coin purse. You can buy that coin purse, a small coin purse in Tokyo. That's a good little souvenir. But once we arrived at the airport, we went to the ATM and we chose local currency. Make sure you choose local currency when you withdraw money from your account, okay, from the ATMs. Make sure you choose local currency. If you choose your home country's currency, like US dollar, that's an algorithm that it has to perform, and that will cost money. So you will get fees for that when you do that. So even when you're in a 7-Eleven or a different place, these convenience stores, or convenies they call them, if you pull out money, use local currency. One question is, how do you deal with the language barrier in Japan? Here's the thing. The 2020 Olympics were in Tokyo. Obviously, the pandemic postponed it for a year to happen 2021. But Japan already prepared for the influx of all the tourists, all international athletes, everybody to come in 2020. They prepared all that. So they put up signs, they put up QR codes, they were all ready for it. So they left them up there. And it definitely helped us. QR codes, English signs next to the Japanese signs. What really is that if you are a graphic designer or some kind of UI, UX designer, you probably get overwhelmed by all the fonts and all the colors and all way it's all laid out. It's going to be crazy. Okay. But if you be patient, look for the signs, and then there's going to be an English translation nearby. It's there. If you don't, obviously that's when Google Lens can translate it for you. Okay. All right. So what are the best souvenirs to get friends and family? Definitely think of things that are made in Japan. Chopsticks. Be careful. Some of them are made in China and Korea, so be careful with that. So make sure they're from Japan, and you can get this in Don Quixote and avoid paying so much for the tourist spots that can cost way more than in Don Quixote. Okay. Kit Kat, different variations, varieties of the chocolate, like peach, apple, matcha, tea, and so on. So 300 varieties. Bookmarks, really cool. Stuffed toys. My boys got a stuffed toy for my youngest nephew, and little Godzilla. They gave him a little Godzilla plushie toy. Keychains. That helps to give away for friends and family. Stickers. And if you're like me, you want a souvenir for yourself, you can get something really special for you. My wife got teas, Japanese tea, legit Japanese tea from a legit place that Nori showed us. He brought us into, and they showed her how to brew things and how to what to choose and so on. So she bought a bunch of that for herself. Me, I wanted a Japanese whiskey, so I was able to go to the G6 shopping center, and I was able to pick up a Hibiki blend, blend that you can only pick up in Japan. So I was able to get something I really liked. Definitely, they are duty free, so they definitely help a lot with our budget. Stickers too. Make sure you get a lot of stickers. That helps a lot as well. What would I do differently? And this is the last question. I think the next time when we go, less cities, we're going to go ahead and stay in one hotel if we can, and then experience a little something called slow travel, so we can immerse ourselves into the community, into the culture in a deeper way. So that intrigues me, slow travel. So we can not be in a rush. We can experience things, what people watching. We can join certain clubs or certain events, daytime events or clubs, just to hang out, being a teacher, maybe hook up with a bunch of teachers and learn from them how they experience teaching in Japan. Also experience the nightlife. We want to try that. Definitely, I'm older, so I don't want to go to these clubs that are, loud and pumping the music. I did that. I'm done with that. I just want to chill, relax with a nice Hibiki or Suntory or any other nice Japanese wine or whiskey. All right, folks, that's it for this episode. Thank you for joining me and listening to our Japan trip and our experiences. Bye, guys. Peace.